Bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue à Monaco. This is qualifying for round 9 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. We are at the home of the most iconic street circuit in the world. Yes, it's the Principality. Yes, it's Monaco, and I'm joined by Dario Franchitti, three-time Indy 500 champion and former Andretti driver, Oliver Askew. Gentlemen, it's Monaco. We're excited. He's wearing a waffle shirt. You're wearing the classic standard white shirt. We're ready to go. We're pumped. We're primed. It's Monaco. It needs no introduction, but I'm going to ask you to give it an introduction, please.
I mean, there should be a drinking game with the word.
I'm not excited.
With the word iconic, right? But this track, it's the most famous street course in the world. Everybody, all the drivers up and down this pit lane, every driver in motorsport, they want to win right here.
Yeah, they really do. Oliver, you drove this for the very first time last year. How was it? What's it like?
I remember I was just in awe going out on track for FP1 for the first time last year. Having watched this race over my young years, to be here, the history of this track, going into qualifying now for Formula E, to nail a lap around this place, inch perfect to the walls, it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, and we have a championship fight on our hands. Pascal Wehrlein is at the top of the championship table. However, only 4 points behind is the man who's absolutely flying at the moment, Nick Cassidy. What a performance he's put in recently.
Yeah, absolutely. That win in the second Berlin race was really incredible. Everybody thought, he's gone too early, but he absolutely nailed it. Pascal Wehrlein got out of the blocks like a sprinter at the start of this season, but Nick Cassidy is coming at him in a hurry. 4 points back, as you say, Vernon. Although, when I walked past the Envision garage, his car was in bits. It looks like they're replacing the front regen unit, and hopefully they'll get it done before qualifying. Otherwise, that could have a big impact on the championship.
Yeah, like you said, Pascal Wehrlein was at the top of the podium at the beginning of the season. Not really done anything since, but he's had consistency. A 6 and a 7 in Berlin. It's all about getting points on the table, Oliver.
Yes, it is, and we're 50% through the season now. Here in Monaco, though, it's championship thoughts have kind of gone out the window. Winning this race is the most important thing. These drivers are definitely going to leave it all out on the table, and I think we're going to see an exciting race this afternoon.
Pascal's quite calm, quite cool, quite collected. Do you think he'll be under a little bit of pressure from his team, Dario?
There's always pressure. There's always pressure, but he's won DTM championship before. He knows how to win championships, but the margin between success and failure in any championship, but especially Formula E, is minuscule.
Yeah, the Jags are absolutely flying as well, so let's go over to Nicky Shields.
Well, a driver who is enjoying a great run of form at the moment, Mitch Evans. It was only a couple of weeks ago since Berlin, so I think we should reflect on that moment first, because it was such a historic moment. The first Jaguar TCS Racing 1-2 win. And yeah, the memories are putting a smile on your face, which is good to see.
Thanks, I need that before qualifying to calm the nerves a bit. Yeah, it was a great moment for the team, right? We had a great result in Sao Paulo, double podium. Obviously all Jaguars on the powertrains on the podium, but to get a 1-2 for the team is special. We all aim for that, and to finally get our monkey off the back with that was very special. So especially at a track that's really not been kind to us in the past, to get my first win there and also our first 1-2 was incredible.
Attention is focused on this race though as we head into qualifying. Monaco, a home race for you, kind of. You've been on the podium a couple of times before, had pole position before, but the win still escapes you. How much does that mean to you?
Lots. Last year hurt, the year before hurt. I was leading the last lap 2 years ago and just missed out just with, lacking a bit of energy at the end. So, yeah, we've always been quick here. It's just haven't been able to convert that win, but we've had good results. Obviously the pole last year, so I really enjoyed the track. I've been on, podiums here in other categories as well, so, but never that win. So it haunts me a little bit, but you can't force it. If today's my day, it will happen. But yeah, it started off well, but we've got qualifying coming up next, so we need to have a clean quali and put ourselves in a good position.
And just quickly, given the fact that you have had this great run of results, you've now kind of probably put yourself in title contention. 24 points off Pascal Wehrlein. Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, even when I was 80 points behind, I was still feeling optimistic. But there's a lot of points up for grabs between now and London. I think it's anyone's still. 24 points is more than close enough to be in contention. So that's one race win difference. So yeah, no, I'm happy to have had a good run of form, reduce that gap, recover a bit, and hopefully we can continue that trend. And hopefully our bad luck that we've had at the start of the season is that's it for the year.
Great. Well, you've been very quick this morning in free practice, so good luck for qualifying. Hopefully that form continues. Thanks very much. Mitch Evans.
Well, it's nearly time for qualifying, so let's go on board with Max Günther, who was quickest in this morning's free practice session in the Maserati. Through Sandevort, nice line through there, just pinching the inside curb as we climb up the hill towards Massenet. And we go over this crest. This is where the drivers, you'll see, using slightly different lines here. Max using a slightly tighter line. We have seen other drivers using a little bit wider trajectory around the left-hander past the Hotel de Paris. Through Casino Square, Max having a bit of a slide there. There's a dip in the road, which sort of launches you out towards the barrier on the left-hand side. Through this next section of corners, these next 4 corners, Mirabeau, the hairpin and Portier, it's all downhill. And in the race in particular, this is an opportunity for them to recover energy, regen the energy that they've lost climbing up the hill towards Casino Square. The exit here out of Portier, massively important for the drivers. I'm just going to pick a point here because this is for the first time we can actually see the numbers on the dashboard. So the Maserati team choose to have the information for the drivers. There, you can see that's the tyre temperatures and tyre pressures he's got there. He's also got his lap time and some of the energy information on the steering wheel for him there, which is quite useful. Braking for the chicane is really tricky because it steeply drops downhill, sort of a cliff there at the 100-meter mark. So the rear of the car is always sliding around. Get through the chicane, really important to get a good exit from there as well. And up towards the back, the barrier on the inside, incredibly close there. And then flat out through the chicane at the swimming pool, coming through the second part of the chicane and up towards Rascasse. Günther on this particular lap here, slightly tight on the way in and actually ended up missing that apex there. And then up to Anthony Nogues, good exit, and that took him to the top of the time. So yeah, Vernon, good time this morning. We'll see what he can do in qualifying.
All right, thanks, Karun. Thank you very much, Karun. Dario, qualifying is just about to start. Who are we looking out for? Obvious question, but come on.
Yeah, I think the usual runners and riders at the top of the championship, but I'm interested in Nick Cassidy as well. He didn't get a qualifying simulation in either practice session, so that could be a big issue for him. But then watch for some of the less fancied, with the less efficient powertrain runners and riders. I think Dan Ticktum could be quite tasty here.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned Dan Ticktum. Right, this is it. It's qualifying for round 9 of the Formula E in Monaco.
Qualifying for round 9 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship in Monte Carlo is about to get underway. The iconic streets are set to play host to these drivers. First of all, in Group A, the drivers who are in the odd positions in the championship. First for Verline, third for Verne, fifth for Evans, etc. And it'll be a battle to get into the top 4 in this first 12 minutes. That top 4 will advance through to the duels. So really, Verline, Verne, Evans and Bird, they're the top 4 as far as the championship is concerned in this group. And you know what, they're probably the favourites to go through looking at it, because there aren't that many outside of that top 4 that could spring a surprise. Okay, there's René Rast there in the McLaren. He has had some strong qualifying performances this year, but nothing absolutely remarkable. Stoffel van Dorn is out there as well in the Dragon Penske car, and he is now making his way out onto the track. He took pole position and won here last year. So, sorry, he didn't take pole position, but he won here last year. So he is in danger, but those top 4 really should be, you'd think, the top 4 that will go through. Scan the QR code in the bottom left and join in with Formula E Predictor. It'll take you to the app and you can get involved there, and it's a lot of fun. And one of my favorite things actually is seeing what you guys reckon is going to happen before each duel. I really enjoy it, and I especially enjoy it when last race Alan McNish thought the opposite to all of you all the time, and then he got all of them wrong. So you guys know more than Alan McNish. There you go. Cars out on circuit, then making their way up the hill. Dario Franchitti with me for commentary, and I said the Alan McNish criticism just for you, Dario. I thought you'd like it.
Well, it's not often Alan gets it right, to be honest. But that was a very good. Yeah. Anyway, moving on, qualifying. This is going to be nuts. The margin between success and failure here, Jack, is going to be absolutely minuscule.
And I think if you're, well, how are you feeling if you're Pascal Wehrlein? I know it's a difficult question because different drivers have different feelings, but you're coming into this qualifying session knowing you need to be in the top 4 in this group, but also knowing didn't have much pace in free practice.
Yeah, exactly. But the time between free practice 2 and now, you'll have spent with your engineer just going over every piece of data that you can, trying to figure out what is wrong. Why is the car, is it not handling? Is it the way the powertrain's working on the brakes, on acceleration? What's going on? And you just got to try and figure those problems out. As a driver, you've just got to forget all that and just concentrate on doing the job. Don't think about the result, Jack. Think about doing the job. Think about driving the perfect lap. You know, looked at your teammates' data, seen where he's slightly quicker, if indeed he was anywhere, and just try and get that perfect lap.
Is that the worst when you're slow but you're quicker than your teammates, so you don't even have anything to learn?
Yeah, that's really difficult. You're like, yeah. With the GPS and stuff, you can look, if you've got a clever system, you can look at what the opposition is doing through the GPS speed traces and stuff, and you can see maybe where the technique's a bit different, but you don't know what they're doing with their powertrains. And these Generation 3 cars are so complex with the powertrain and how it helps the car brake for a corner, accelerate out of a corner, handle through the corner. And if you're missing just a little bit, that's before you even consider the mechanical setup of the car. You could be miles off.
Karoon, what's going on?
Well, I'll tell you what's happening here, Jack, is when you look up at the sky, there's a massive rain cloud that's just come over the hill, looking from the pit lane over towards Saint-Devote, the first corner, and the hill around Casino Square. There's a massive rain cloud, so a bit of jeopardy. The teams have got a... It's quite high, so it might be okay, but you would definitely want to get a time on the board pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, very interesting. So we've not had a wet Monaco race before, but we'll see what happens with that. We think these drivers are sort of doing out laps, and then some are doing prep laps and some of them doing push laps. Pascal Wehrlein is doing a prep, but Mitch Evans is certainly doing a push, as is Sam Bird, a 31.6 for Bird. Here comes Evans across the line. He goes quicker than Bird by 0.6 of a second on a 1:30.9. Lotterer slots into third place, 1.4 seconds off. So it'll be a couple of minutes before we get the big laps incoming. Van Dorn coming through the final couple of corners now in the DS Penske, drives towards the line, and where does this put Van Dorn? He goes third fastest on a 1:31.1, 0.2 away from Mitch Evans. So next push lap incoming. Pascal Wehrlein is doing another prep lap actually on this run. So that's sort of out prep for Wehrlein.
Yeah, and he'll have the tire pressures, the tire temperatures up on the dash as well. He can tell exactly, get the tire into the window for its best performance, because if you get, even if it's just the front tires out of the window, the car's not going to handle. You've got to get absolutely everything perfect. As you see Wehrlein now coming through Saint-Devote, Jack, heading up the hill towards Beau-Rivage. It's so important to get a good exit out of Saint-Devote because it is such a steep hill. I walked up it once in a stag night, and it's definitely out of breath.
That is a story we all need to hear more of, but I fear we are unable to in this qualifying session. 7 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Jean-Eric Verne quickest in the first sector in the DS Penske, and he's almost 0.4 up after the middle sector now. So this is a quick lapping coming from Verne. I didn't mention him. Well, he's as you see Oliver Turvey in the middle there. Turvey won here in Formula Renault 3.5, I think, a few years ago. Here comes Van Dorn out across, Verne out across the line. Van Dorn's following him on circuit. Verne is third in the championship and is now quickest on the times. 0.4 quicker than Mitch Evans. Van Dorn slots into second place. So DS Penske 1-2 at the moment.
And Pascal Wehrlein 0.3 slower through the first sector alone. A couple of tenths through the second sector. He's half a second down already after two sectors of the lap.
Here comes Robin Freitz. Pole position last time out. Before that, his best qualifying was 19th in the opening race of the season. After the middle section here, he's 0.6 down. Ooh. Van Dorn and Verne, the two DS Penskes, under investigation for a technical infraction. Now, we've seen a lot of technical infractions this year with regards to tyre pressures, running tyre pressures too low. Whee! Robin chucking it through Anthony Noakes. But usually that's in a free practice session, and it doesn't then happen in the race. So we'll try and find out what Van Dorn and Verne are under investigation for. But if they have broken the rules, that could lead to them being disqualified from qualifying as Evans fights the car into the Nouvelle chicane.
Yeah, a bit of traffic there. The traffic, it's best to get out of the way, but it's still unsighted Mitch, and he would have been hesitating just a little bit on the brakes as he enters the swimming pool now. You can see the traffic further ahead. I don't think he's going to reach it, though. The second part of the swimming pool, absolutely critical. He missed it a little bit, the apex of the left-hand part. Watch the Jaguar through here. A lot less understeer in the Jaguar than we saw with the Abt car over on France.
Here comes Evans out across the line. Less than 5 minutes to go in this session now, and Evans goes quicker by over 1/10 of a second. So we're seeing Verne and Van Dorn have pitted. The Jaguars are still out. Fenestraz, Tictum and Nato have been through the pits. Rast is in the pits as well. So I feel like the Jaguars now are maybe staying out for the whole session on this one set, potentially.
Yeah, otherwise it's going to be a very short second run if they come into the pits, absolutely. You see Verne in the pit lane now in the DS Penske. The wheels on that car are just so cool.
Yeah.
That's P1, 10.5 to Jeff. Fast-ish in, take care of these tires, we know the plan.
Fast-ish in.
So he's coming in.
He is coming in. Take care of the tyres, we know the plan. So it might be, we've seen a few times this year, drivers come in and just sit in the pit lane for a bit, waiting for the tyres to cool down rather than actually necessarily change them. Here comes Verline, Florian Modlinger, the team principal of the Porsche squad, watching Verline come through Mirabeau, quarter of a second down in the first sector alone.
Listen to the tyres chirp. It's not only that chirping noise, but there's a vibration to it too, and that shows you how much understeer the car's got. The tyres are well beyond its slip angle, and they're just chirping and bouncing across the surface of the corner. And the front is just not turning, which means Pascal Wehrlein cannot carry the speed that he wants through some of these 90-degree corners.
The chicane. On board on the right-hand side, heading to Tabac.
They'll be approaching these corners so much quicker this year than with the old Gen 2 car. It completely changes the shape of the track.
Verline 4/10 down after the middle sector.
And Lotterer up to P3.
One more corner to go for Pascal Verline. Lotterer the fastest final sector of anybody so far. The Rast has just left the pit lane. And Verline goes 4th fastest. So that would put him in the duels at the moment. But he's right on the bubble with Van Dorn on an outlap, Verne on an outlap. Bird and Evans are still in the pits, so they're going to be going... Their outlap is going to need to be fairly pushy. So they are... That's very interesting. Here's Verline's radio.
Okay, that's a cool down now, Good job, good improvements there, mate, good improvements.
A little bit of encouragement from Carl Wilson-Clark. Here is Jean-Eric Verne coming into the final couple of corners now. Bird leaves the pit lane, 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go, as does Evans. So they're just going to be doing out push, and I think their outlap will be quite pushy. So different strategy for the Jaguar squad compared to the DS Penske cars, for example. Is this going to be a push lap from Jean-Eric Verne? Nato goes fastest out of nowhere, and Fenestraz goes up into 3rd place. So Nato and Fenestraz 1st and 3rd for Nissan, ticked them up into 4th spot. But they will have one more push, so maybe they're doing push-push.
This is all going to change in the next 1 minute and 43 seconds.
It looks as though that lots of differing strategies as we go with Verne through Mirabeau, down to the hotel.
Maybe the tightest corner in motorsport through the, what was the station hairpin, I think now the Fairmont hairpin.
Now into Portier.
This used to be the seafront. They've built a few, reclaimed some land on the left through the tunnel.
Verne through the first sector is 100th down.
Steeply downhill here, Jack, bumpy as well. You see the car dancing around a bit on the brakes.
Van Dorn is 3,000ths up in the first sector on Nato's time. Through the left-hander. Now into the swimming pool. Verne a 10th away from Nato. And this, well, he will get the chance to do another push lap if the tyres are up for it. He's getting a bit of traffic ahead. I think it's one of the Jaguars just coming through the final corner. Is Sam Bird. Looks like he's far enough ahead to not affect Verne too much. Here we go to the line for Jean-Eric Verne. And doesn't improve.
He's going to have to keep pushing, but I don't know if he's got the, I don't know if the tyres are out of the window.
It was Mitch Evans just ahead of him. Here is Van Dorn, as you say. He is up, but only by 0.03 of a second or so on Nato's time.
He messes up the first part of the Raskas.
Scruffy from Van Dorn through Anthony Noakes, out across the line. He will get another lap in. He'll get there before the checkered flag, and he only goes up to 6th quickest. Stoffel Van Dorn. Evans is up in the first sector. Verline has now dropped down to 8th position. His first sector is reasonable, the Porsche. We're on board with him here, coming through to back.
But there's 4 cars quicker than the quickest time so far through the first sector. This is all going to change. Bit of a snap of oversteer from Verline.
Verline 200s down after the middle sector. Personal, fastest middle sector of anyone for Andre Lotterer. Lotterer's coming alive.
Where's that come from?
Evans has done a great first sector. Here comes Verline. The German across the line. Is it the Jules for Verline? Oh, it's right on the cusp. It's 4th quickest for the championship leader. Surely that's not going to be enough to take him through the Jules. It's not. Verline out. Verline not through to the Jules. Lotterer goes through. Now here comes Rene Rast, only 9th quickest for the McLaren man. Sam Bird and Mitch Evans are the 2 to watch now, because Bird's all the way down in 10th place and he's 3 tenths down after sectors 1 and 2. I don't think this is going to be good enough for Bird. Evans has taken the checkered flag, has gone quicker than Lotterer. Bird, 10th. 3 tenths away for Sam Bird. But Mitch Evans is through by the looks of things. Nato and Fenestras in the Nissans are flying. Tictum's got a chance here as well. Nato goes quicker than Evans. Fenestras goes up into 2nd place. Lotterer's on the bubble. Lotterer's out. It's Tictum through. Tictum gets in.
10 seconds ago, Lotterer was the quickest thing in town.
Verline will be on the 7th row of the grid for the race. Jean-Eric Verne on the 8th row of the grid. It's a disastrous morning for DS Penske, but Nissan flying. Tommaso Volpe seeing both of his drivers through to the duels for the first time this season, because that is Nato's first duel appearance, and
Exactly.
that's the delight up in the offices upstairs at Nissan. Nato, Fenestras, Tictum, and now I tell you what, if you'd have asked me to name the top 4 going through, I'd have gone Evans. That's it, I wouldn't have named any other. I wasn't backing a double Nissan duel appearance.
I would have said Evans and Tictum. I called out Tictum in chatting with Vernon beforehand, but yeah, Mitch Evans for sure. But great job by the Nissans. There's a man there who's been under pressure. Tommaso Volpe, he'll be happy with that qualifying performance.
So, not good for Verline and Verne in particular in their championship hopes. Verne in particular, because obviously Van Dorn still leads the championship. Verne is only 19 points behind Verline, but this is a huge Group B as well. This is huge for Cassidy and Dennis. If they both get through.
But Cassidy hasn't done a lap. He hasn't done a proper lap this morning. There's a problem with the front axle of the car, the regenerative braking system, can't even say it, and it was out of balance, and so he hasn't done a qualifying simulation today, so this is all new.
So Norman Nato, Sasha Fenestras, Dan Tictum and Mitch Evans are the 4 drivers that advance through to the duels. Andre Lotterer doesn't make it through, but I think that's still his 2nd best qualifying performance of the season so far. Van Dorn in 6th, real tough times for the DS Penske squad. So we'll be getting underway with qualifying Group B in a moment. Cassidy, Dennis, DaCosta, what can they do? But Vernon, that was a few surprised.
Oh, it was indeed, Jack. Oliver and I, Oliver's got a smile on his face because that qualifying session there was something else. And we're always smiling when we see Dan Tictum getting into the top 4. Absolutely awesome. But when it comes down to the championship, Mitch Evans just hanging on into the duels. I mean, a good performance from the Jags.
Yeah, he is, and the driver is Andre Lauderer, 5th, just missed out by, I think, over a 1/10 of a second. So the margins are so small around this track. The drivers are letting it all hang out, and interesting to see both Nissans up there. The Neo of Dan Ticktum, usually they're not qualifying so well, so looking forward to seeing those guys start up at the front today.
Yeah, Dario called it earlier on. But let's talk about Mitch Evans. He's doing what he needed to do. He needs to continue his journey through to the duels to really put pressure on Pascal Wehrlein, who once again had a shocker in quali.
Yeah, it's a shame for Pascal not making it through. We know this track is difficult to overtake. Mitch Evans doing what he needs to, just to keep pressure on that championship fight. That starting position today, you know, he'll be in the top 8. It'll be so important for him to finish in the points today. And I think he's finished 2nd the last couple of years or so here at Monaco, and he's watch out. He'll definitely be looking to win this race.
Let's talk about Nick Cassidy. Dario and Jack were saying that he's not been out yet this morning because there's a regen problem. Do you need those warm-up laps to just get comfortable with it?
Yeah, definitely. These tires are operating in such a small window, and we see now on the broadcast pictures that steering wheel that has the tire temperatures, the tire pressures. Usually those are color-coded to make sure that they're in the right window.
All right, let's go back to Jack for the commentary.
Cheers. Vernon, Van Dorn and Vern both had their lap times cancelled for a technical infraction, which could possibly be tyre pressures. That's the main thing that we've seen this season. We'll wait for confirmation on that, but that means they'll be starting further back in the grid. That gives Wehrlein, it was minimum tyre pressures. That does give Wehrlein a couple of places, though, at least. Group B qualifying underway. Get involved, form route predictor, bottom left. And Cassidy's going to be fascinating in this one. He is out on circuit. He didn't do much, well, he did some running this morning, but never did a sort of quick lap, and was complaining about problems, and they've made changes to the car. This is a big ask for Cassidy in a big weekend for him, Dario.
Absolutely, but if the car's working, I think he will be able to deal with it. It's just a lack of track mileage. He's not going to get spun out by this at all. But watching the Envision team, they had the whole front of the car off. The whole front axle was replaced, and they did it in minutes. It was so impressive yet again from the Envision team. We've watched them build new cars in hours before. They're such an impressive team. So let's see if Cassidy can put that lap together. And bear in mind, he doesn't have the data that he needs for his driving style to program all the systems for qualifying. He's going to have to rely on his teammate, Sebastian Buemi, who has been a qualifying machine this year.
Yeah, certainly has. Best qualifier on the grid this season, Sebastian Buemi. He is out on circuit, as is Jake Dennis, Antonio Felix da Costa. You have to also... Well, actually, Rask was nowhere, was he, in that first part of qualifying, which was a surprise, considering if the Nissan powertrain is good, you'd think the McLarens are going to be strong. There is Ian James. And Jake Hughes, out on circuit, he's been a very impressive qualifier for kind of the first 4 races, I would say. Since then, it's dropped away a little, but that was mainly Berlin, where they particularly struggled. But Hughes has got a bit of a shot. Not if he drives like that, though, going a bit wide of the apex into the chicane and then clunking the curve on the second part. He has raced here in Formula 2, I think, Jake Hughes. So it's not his first time at the Monaco circuit.
He had such an impressive start to the season as a rookie. For me, just again watching from home, just watching what he did, how quickly he got up to speed with the technicalities of Formula E was fantastic. Just watching him through the last corner, looks like the front of the car just sliding a bit, and he couldn't get the car rotated, couldn't get to the throttle because the front of the car was still pointing towards the barrier.
So Hughes fastest on a 31.014. Gunter now goes much quicker on a 30.638. So that is... and Cassidy straight in, bam! 400 slower than Gunter. There we go. That dispels that fear of Nick Cassidy's pace. Sete Camera third. Sete Camera is the next driver under investigation for a technical infraction in the Neo. Degrassi and Rowland 7th and 6th respectively. Muller comes across the line after doing a prep lap. Dennis is... well, Well, Dennis will be hoping this isn't a push lap, so I don't think it's going to get him into the top 4. Early stages of the session, of course. Here he comes across the line, and it is 6th fastest for Jake Dennis in the Andretti. Da Costa comes through now, and up the hill.
Did he hit the wall there on the exit of Saint Devote? Sounded little, yeah. See Mortara on board with the driver's eye. He's just willing the car in front to get out of his way. Oh, but he's coming in the pits now.
So, early pit stops for the... We saw so much strategy divergence, didn't we, in that first group? Hughes and Mortara are straight back into the pits. Mortara had done the fastest middle sector for anyone. Gunter doing the same thing with 7 minutes to go. Da Costa is on a push lap now. So is Buemi, who we're with here. 3 tenths down after the first sector, Sebastian Buemi. Won here twice in the past. Sylvain Filippi watching. Across the line he comes. And it is 5th fastest for Sebastian Buemi. His teammate Cassidy up in 2nd. Here is Da Costa. Coming into Larascas. Oh! Wide a bit from Da Costa. This is his first push lap. He's 6 tenths down after the first sector. And he ends the lap 1.2 seconds down on Max Gunter.
It just looks that he can't get that car turned, Jack. You watch it through Saint Devote, you watch it through Rascas, and he knows it just will not turn.
So, Gunter, Cassidy, Sete Camera and Degrassi, the drivers who would be through at the moment. Good work from Lucas Degrassi. He's only made it through to the duels once this season, which was the first race when he took pole position. No, that's a lie. He made it through to the duels in the second race in Diriyah as well, but he hasn't been through since then. Here's Ollie Rowland, a 10th away through the middle sector.
Oh, floated it through the swimming pool.
Have some curve, Ollie. Now up into the Rascas. Da Costa's hit the wall. Front left damage for Antonio Felix Da Costa. So, whoa, Roland. Wow, scrappy as you like through these final 2 corners. He was only a 10th down after sectors 1 and 2, but his last sector was an absolute nonsense. So he remains half a second slower than everyone else.
He should have got some style points for that at least.
Yeah, well, he wasn't going to get any speed points.
No, that's for sure.
So, Gunter, Cassidy, Sete Camera and Degrassi, the 4 through at the moment. Now let's have a look at Da Costa. Front left damage he was reporting. He's coming back very slowly, isn't he?
It looks like there's a mark on the wheel. You can see it actually on the tyre rim, should I say.
Here he comes into the final couple of corners. Is he pitting, or is he? Maybe he's feels that the damage isn't too bad and he can go again, but he has clipped the wall somewhere out there, Da Costa. Through Saint Devote.
Actually looked like it turned a bit better than the lap previously. Maybe he got the tyres more into their operating window. I have done that before.
Toe in or something.
Yeah, I have hit the wall before and the car has actually handled better afterwards.
Da Costa then through sector 1. How's he doing? Only a 10th away in the first sector, coming through Mirabeau. Degrassi and Buemi still in the pits. The 2 drivers who finished 1st and 2nd in the first 2 Monaco E-Prix. Roland returning to the pits now as well. Big slide from Da Costa as he gets on the power coming out. And actually, is the steering left hand down ever so slightly? If you watch, when he straightens up here, I think it might be. We'll see it more coming towards to back. I also could be making it up, but over to you, Dario. Is it slightly left hand down?
I can't see from that angle, Jack. Possibly slightly. It did look like he had a lot more lock on than he would normally have as he entered to back.
Through the swimming pool now. Out of the swimming pool now.
7/10 down. The car is just not handling, it's just not rotating. The front of the car is just not gripping in the middle of the corner, so he's got so much steering input into it that when he goes to the throttle, it snaps into oversteer.
Nico Muller's jumped up to third fastest, but now the big lap times are coming in. Hughes, Mortara, Sete Camera, Gunter, all rapid in the first sector. Here we are with Mortara into the swimming pool. After the middle sector, he is almost 2 tenths up. Gunter's almost 4 tenths up. Gunter absolutely flying. Finally, feels like Gunter's getting into his flow a little. Through the final turn for Mortara. Right up to the wall on the exit. Mortara across the line. Quickest. 1 minute 30.307. Sete Camera's on a very quick lap though in the Neo. Here comes Gunter. He goes quicker than Mortara. 1-2 for the Maserati MSG crew at the moment with 2 minutes still to go. Here comes Sete Camera in the Neo. Second. Splits the Maseratis. Dennis is down in 9th place at the moment. 2 tenths down after the first sector. Hughes up into 2nd spot. What's Cassidy up to? He's 5th at the moment. He's just done a... No, he hasn't done a push lap yet, Cassidy. He's just starting his push lap now. We're with Dennis into the Nouvelle chicane. To back.
It looked like he turned into the back and actually had to turn out because he was about to hit the wall on the inside. But look at him just catching little bits of oversteer as he enters the swimming pool section.
Half a second down after the middle sector here, Jake Dennis.
It does look a bit oversteery on the brakes. You watch, he keeps turning the opposite direction as he applies the brakes for the first time. That'll help him turn the car through the corner.
He'll get another push lap here if he wants it.
Can also limit his entry speed.
Only 7th quickest, Jake Dennis. Gunter Hughes, Sete Camera and Mortara, the front runners. Here comes Cassidy. Cassidy's first sector. Oh, it's nowhere. It's 2 tenths away from Gunter. Middle sector incoming for Cassidy. It's a personal best. He chips it down to under 2 tenths of a second. A good final sector here for Cassidy. Oh, big slide as he comes out of the swimming pool. He's got a shot at the Duels here, but it's a very, very slim shot. He'll get another lap in after this, if he's still got the tyres for it. Nick Cassidy, 2nd place man in the championship, winner of the last race, only 5th quickest. Not through the Duels as it stands, but he'll get another run. No one's really... Hughes comes across the line now, so thing is, Gunter, Hughes, Sete Camera and Mortara, they've all got another lap in them. Here's Muller.
But there's just over a tenth rather, Jack, 1.3 tenths, the difference between the quickest and 4th place in this group qualifying. Again, tiny margins.
But then it's 3 tenths back to Cassidy in 5th. So it's the top 4 are really close, but then there's quite a gap back. Here comes Nico Muller, 5th fastest. Doesn't make it through to the Duels. What's Da Costa up to? Personal best in sector 1. He's still half a second away though. Buemi only goes 5th. Here comes Dennis across the line. It's 5th quickest for Dennis. Not through to the Duels, but not terrible for his championship chances. Here comes Da Costa, improving, but I don't know if this will get him up into anywhere really. Oh, Cassidy's on a big lap. Cassidy's on a very good middle sector. This could be the moment for the Envision Racing driver. Here comes Mortara across the line, currently 4th quickest. He improves to go up into 3rd with the fastest final sector of anybody, but watch Cassidy's time on the bottom right. Oh, he's got traffic everywhere. Through the final turn, he's right up behind the Maserati. Is that going to hold him up? Cassidy across the line, 5th. 5th for Cassidy. Lost 2 tenths in the final sector, and he is going to be absolutely fuming. Sete Camera goes 4th, and that is everybody. Roland goes up into 7th place at the end, but Cassidy, row 5 of the grid. Dennis, row 6 of the grid.
I don't think we've heard the last of this because Gunter P1, but if he held up, if he impeded Cassidy, his time will be disallowed. But that's all got to be, we're going to have to investigate the data on that one, I would say.
I'm just trying to remember. We haven't really had many cases of impeding in qualifying in Formula E over the last few years, because it's the kind of thing wherein, here's Gunter's radio.
Sorry for that. Had to lock up turn 3. So none was better on the last lap. Yeah, no worries, mate. But yeah, good.
So Gunter saying he had a lock up on his lap. His last lap was 2 seconds slower than his best. So this will be interesting because my point was going to be normally holding someone up is something that gets investigated kind of after the session, and then you get a grid drop or you get a whatever. Whereas I don't know if in this if the stewards have kind of got time to look into it that quickly almost in order to then remove Gunter from the session. So we'll
if he did anything wrong.
Exactly, if he did anything wrong. There's Sylvain Philippi.
He'll be instant messaging the FIA right now for or somebody in the organisation will.
Yeah.
To investigate that.
Well,
because that can change the whole outcome of your day.
Yeah.
You know, that can be the difference between between starting on the 5th row and potentially starting on pole position.
Well, at the moment, it is Gunter quickest, Hughes second, Mortara third, Sete Camera fourth. Those 4 all through into the next part of qualifying, the duels, which will be coming up in a couple of moments' time. So Gunter quickest, Hughes second, Mortara third, Sete Camera fourth. Let's head down to the pit lane and see what Radzy's up to.
Yeah, just out the DS Penske garage. I'm joined by Deputy Team Principal Nicholas Madoui. Unfortunate circumstance today, both drivers having their points deleted due to a tyre pressure issue. Can you explain exactly what happened?
Yeah, sure. We have been informed by FIA that we have had an issue in the tyre pressure. So we will need to investigate that. But we recognize that it seems to be the case, so sure. And the consequences are quite harsh because that means that all our lap time have been deleted, so we will start at the back of the grid very likely.
In terms of Jean-Eric Vergne, obviously he's in title contention. This is now throwing a lot into jeopardy for him. What will success look like today, do you think?
We will do everything we can to fight back and to show we have shown some strong pace this morning. So we will try to fight back during the race.
Thanks very much for your time. Race well today. And Nikki, it's over to you.
Well, I'm down here in the Maserati garage with Team Principal James Rossiter. Congratulations, home race, a massive race for Maserati. You've also got the big boss, the CEO, Dario Di Grasso here, both into the duels.
Yeah, great performance from both of them. I mean, amazing effort from the whole team. We've been fast all day so far, so hopefully we can continue that into the duels.
Bit of controversy there. Do you think Max Gunter held up Nick Cassidy at all?
There was definitely nothing intentional from our side, so that's all I can say.
So nothing to worry about then?
I hope not, no.
Good, good. So what is the strategy going to be for qualifying for you guys? Obviously, we saw some brilliant race pace from Max Gunter in Berlin. Is that looked set to continue today?
Yeah, we actually learned a lot also from the rookie test, believe it or not. So we found some useful tips, and I think that we're looking quite good. I'd like the 3 points for the pole, so that's the goal.
And there's obviously a little bit of added pressure here this weekend, being a home race. Well, I don't know. Maybe there isn't. Maybe you bask in the excitement of lots of VIP guests here for Maserati this weekend.
I think that's been the key, is managing the pressure, managing the expectations from everybody. You know, we got a great strategy going into the day, and we followed that through. Everyone's in a great mood and just trying to deliver the maximum potential we can.
And have you had a chat with the drivers this morning? Obviously, Monaco, there is so much anticipation around this race. Everyone wants to add that trophy to their cabinet, don't they?
Well, the nice thing about being here is that from our sim prep, we actually came out and drove some laps of the track. So we really made sure that we made the most of the fact that we're a Monaco-based team.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Good luck for quali. Thanks very much, James.
Qualifying duels will be getting underway in a few moments' time in Monaco ahead of the 9th round of the Formula E World Championship season. Nick Cassidy has been told by the team, stay in your car. They're sort of, you know, hoping to look into the blocking element perhaps that happened with Gunter. James Rossiter saying, well, there was nothing intentional, So, but
I think the key word there might have been intentional.
yeah, exactly. But it doesn't look as though there's any investigation going in on Max Günther just yet. So this is how the lineup will be: Ticktum versus Fenestraz, Evans versus Nato, Mortara versus Hughes, Sete Camera versus Günther. Kind of one of the most, not unlikely, they're all great drivers, but a fairly unlikely lineup in the quarterfinals. Love it. We'll see what happens in this following session. It'll be Ticktum versus Fenestraz first of all. Quarterfinal number 1. They've not faced each other before in the quarterfinals. And they will be heading out onto the circuit in a couple of moments' time.
You know, you say it's unlikely, Jack. I think these are the guys, a lot of them with maybe the less efficient powertrain, so they struggle a bit more in the race. But the one-lap pace,
yeah,
is not in doubt, whether that's the car or the drivers. And that makes for an interesting afternoon as well for the race, because when they don't have the pace, they're struggling to save energy, and it can create, you know, a bit of not a roadblock, but they can make life difficult for those more sort of fancied runners with the more efficient powertrains coming through. Just to add to the confusion we're going to have this afternoon in this race.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the 4th time for both of them that they've been in the duels.
All right, okay, so let's go to obviously point 350 after Tabak.
And that was Dan Ticktum being told by Mike Henderson on the radio, turn to full power after Tabak, which I like. I like Mike Henderson using the corner names on the team radio as well. Love that. None of this turn 14 nonsense.
I'm with you, Jack, especially as I learned all the corner names too for this place. I've never raced here.
Oh yeah, you never raced here, did you?
No.
Fenestraz's last duel appearance saw him take pole position in Cape Town. Ticktum yet to take a pole in Formula E. He's not made it through to the final yet either. 2 4th places on the grid in Ticktum's best result. That was in Diriyah and the first race in Berlin. So here we go. They both do a lap at the same time, and the quickest one goes through.
And up to this point, they'll be working the brakes, weaving around a bit, just trying to get the tyres into the temperature window, using the best technique they know how, as Ticktum crosses this line and starts his lap.
Into turn 1.
Nothing to report. Sandevot got in, out, through, up the hill, and let's see. The key is going to be that exit, though. That long run all the way up the hill to Massenet.
Into the first corner comes Fenestraz. We'll keep an eye on this, but just a little brief note. Sete Camera has had his lap times cancelled by the looks of things for a technical infraction. Now, if I'm right, he was in the group with Cassidy, wasn't he? He was in Group B, Sete Camera.
Yes, he was.
Yes,
yep.
So that could have put Cassidy into the groups, into the duels. We'll keep you up to date with that one. Fenestraz, meanwhile, here is a 10th up on Ticktum after the first split.
But Ticktum's catching.
He certainly is. Through they come towards the Nouvelle chicane. Ticktum is ahead on circuit. That was precision from Ticktum through there. Bit of a twitch for Fenestraz, and he gets on the power coming out of Portier. 400s between them now. Ticktum. This has been like inch perfect from Ticktum. Everything we've seen, there's not looked loose at one point. Oy. Less than a 10th of a second to Fenestraz.
Yeah, he's shaving the walls. He's getting ever so close, but he's going the wrong way.
Gap's almost 2/10 of a second. Across the line comes Ticktum. Does a 1:29.3. Fenestraz now has almost 2/10 of a second advantage if he's needed to. Oh, it's almost 3/10 now. Great lap here from Sasha Fenestraz, and it is going to book him a place in the semi-finals. By 3/10 of a second, Sasha Fenestraz is through.
Very impressive stuff.
Yes, yes, the two simple messages there from Fenestraz's race engineer, Johan Am. And Sasha Fenestraz can see with the helmet with the Argentinian flag on the left-hand side of the Nissan logo, the French flag on the right-hand side of the Nissan logo. Probably the worst camera shot I could have chosen to describe that because the halo was covering it up. Quarterfinal number 2. Mitch Evans versus Norman Nato. First duel appearance of the season for Norman Nato. And his best ever qualifying performance, Nato, was second on the grid, which I think was for the Berlin race at the end of season 7. Here comes Evans. Out across the line, he'll be the first driver to start his lap.
This is an important lap for Evans. It almost looked like he overdid the entry a little bit, though.
Nato starts his lap.
Snap of oversteer for Nato going up the hill.
Evans fractionally quicker through the first sector. Now into Mirabeau.
Yeah, this is more like the Mitch Evans, you know, super silky smooth driving style.
Coming down through Portier, we've got Nato's on the bottom left, wearing a Jules Bianchi tribute helmet this weekend, Norman Nato, to his friend who passed away almost a decade ago now since Bianchi's accident in Suzuka. So a lovely tribute helmet from Nato. Evans now winding his way through the Nouvelle chicane. And down towards Tabac. It's just over a tenth of a second between them. Through the swimming pool. Nato's got ahead. Nato really neat and tidy through the swimming pool here. This is going to be very, very close. There's just 100th between them. These two best mates here in Monaco. Big slide from Evans coming out of Anthony Noakes. This is going to be tight. Evans finishes his lap on board with Nato. He's got almost 0.3 of a second. Norman Nato on absolute fire and goes through. It's a double semi-final appearance for the Nissan team. There will be a Nissan on the front row of the grid. Delight for the Nissan squad. What a strong performance that from Norman Nato.
I mean, the Nissan season has their second last in the championship, the 10th, but they've brought upgrades, software upgrades for the first time, and it's having a great effect. This is huge for them.
Quarterfinal number 3 will be Mortara versus Hughes. We've already seen Hughes qualify well this season. Get some front tyre temps in there, Edo.
Yeah, that's maybe not the most fancied way of doing it, but maybe he's desperate for front tyre temperature and he's just thinking he's going to throw everything at it. It just looks like the front tyres, with the way he's driving, just were not up to temperature.
Mortara is guaranteed his highest ever Monaco start because his previous best was 16th on the grid. So whatever happens, he's going to start in the top 8. Hughes starting his lap now. Has had a pole this year in the 3rd race of the season in Diriyah. Climbing the hill now.
Yeah, Hughes ahead. It was from the apex onwards out of Sandoval, he was just in a controlled slide and on the throttle, and he's a 10th and a half up now.
So, by the way, I think Sete Camera is going to be going through to the duels because I think it was just his first set of tyres that was under the pressure. So those lap times have been deleted, but the second run counts. So I don't think Cassidy is through to the duels. Mortara and Hughes right together though. Oh, that's scrappy.
Yeah, a bit overdid the entry, and you could see him getting it sideways, so he was trying to control the slide rather than getting back to the throttle when he was at the apex.
Cost him time. Eduardo Mortara. Hughes is ahead now by 1/10 of a second. And Hughes hasn't even reached that part of the circuit yet, so we could see a big jump. There it is. Over 2/10 now, this man's advantage. Mortara coming into the final corner in the Maserati, out across the line. And it is a 29.4 for Edo Mortara, about 3/10 slower than the lap times we saw in the previous duel. And it looks like it's going to be 4/10 slower than Jake Hughes. Hughes cuts the timing beam and is through to the semi-finals.
That's a good lap as well. Jake Hughes, very impressive.
So Jake Hughes in the Neon McLaren.
Let's just focus on this lap. Let's do our lap.
Is through into semi-finals. Good performance from Hughes. And finally, he's back into the duels after only making it through once in the previous 5 races, having been in the first 3. One more quarter-final to run. Sergio Sette Camera in the Neo up against Max Günther in the Maserati. There's the predictor reckonings. You guys thinking this is Günther's, and you'd be brave to go for Sette Camera considering the pace that Günther showed in free practice earlier on.
Yeah, but we've seen some incredible qualifying efforts in the past from Sergio Sette Camera, so anything is possible. There was a time when I had him very much a bid in to win it mentality in qualifying. He's definitely worth the price of admission.
Günther's only won 1 of his previous 4 quarterfinals. Meanwhile, this is Sergio Sette Camera's second duel appearance of the season after making it through in Berlin, the first race of the weekend in Berlin. Sette Camera will be first across the line. Down towards Sanderbot. Oh, almost tapping the wall on the exit of Sanderbot there, Sette Camera. Really, really tight between them. Now, Günther starts his flying lap down towards the first corner. And we have delayed Sette Camera's lap, so now we're watching them in unison as they climb the hill up towards Beau Rivage. Sette Camera 300ths up at the moment, into Massenet. 100th between them through Casino Square. Mirabeau. Still nothing between them, 200ths of a second. Through Portier now. Sette Camera's under investigation now for qualifying procedure, whatever that means. He's over a 10th up on Günther, though. Coming into the Nouvelle Chicane. Sette Camera fighting lock-up on the right front. Günther locked up the right front. Coming into the Nouvelle Chicane. Clouted the curbs. And now Sette Camera's advantage is over half a second. Great lapping coming from Sergio Sette Camera. Through the swimming pool section. One more corner to go at Anthony Noakes. Günther's brought a big chunk back in. Out across the line now. And it is Sette Camera who will go through to the semi-finals in theory. Because we believe that qualifying procedure investigation, he may have left the pit lane with a red light on. When the lights were red at the end of the pit lane, Sette Camera may have left the pits at that point, which is obviously, you know, red means stop, green means go. Let's have a look. Light goes green. So Sette Camera, then he comes here for 5 seconds. Oh, sorry, that's Günther. Oh, Günther, that's Günther who's left the pits under the red light.
But did Sette Camera leave too late to put Günther in a bad position? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, did Sette Camera miss the first green light?
Yeah, exactly right.
And then he's gone on the second green light.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what, because we saw that in the very first duels, didn't we? Back in
Yes,
the rear
we
at the
did.
start of last year. So maybe Sete Cameras missed the first green light, and then Gunter couldn't go through the second red. I don't really want to start playing red light, green light at this time in the morning, but
I know what you mean.
yeah. So we'll try and have a look back to see if it comes in earlier. But good lap from Sete Camera. Nevertheless, whether he went through at the right or the wrong time, still did a very good job.
Yeah, fantastic lap. I wouldn't have picked any of the 4 that we've got so far. Fenestraz, Nato, Hughes, Sete Camera today. That was it just shows how unpredictable it is.
Yeah. There is Gunter back in the pit lane.
Gunter's in this strange position now, Jack. He's sort of, on the one hand, he's thinking about getting out of the car, and the team are saying, no, stay in. We don't know what's happening here. So we might be in the next round. Just hang on.
So the camera's in the scrutineering bay. As far as the other qualifyings are concerned, I didn't actually write down Evans this time. Okay, here we go. Steady camera. So red light here. So he goes here, says a camera. And then it goes red there. Yeah, but I think maybe Sete Camera was waiting at the wrong light.
Yeah.
He was waiting at the sort of repeater light rather than the actual light at the end of the pit lane. And I can see why he's come to a red light and thought...
And stopped.
But maybe he was meant to, when the light went green, that was to release him from the end of the pit lane. So I think Sete Camera's been in the wrong position.
Yeah.
So, but a tricky one. In terms of tricky, this is just us kind of trying to work it out. You know what I mean? So, and the teams are, you can see the teams there trying to work out exactly what went wrong. Well, we'll find out, that's for sure, when the semi-finals get underway in a few moments' time. So, frustration for Nick Cassidy, not quite making it through to the duels. Did he get balked? Let's find out. He's with Radzi.
Nick Cassidy, slightly crazy situation that I've just seen you running up and down the paddock here trying to establish if you were going to make the duels, and the situation is you didn't.
Yes, correct.
And with that context, it was that ultimately you were impeded by Maximilian, and then you were trying to find out with the tyre pressure. Is that the case?
No. Yeah, I mean, I guess Max was pushing, so that's life, that's racing. I think just one of the other cars in the top 4 was under investigation, so we're just waiting for that to see what happened. But yeah, that's how it goes.
Just mentally, how tough is that when you have that uncertainty about whether you're going to be in it or not?
I don't mind. I mean, it was a bonus. In the end, we qualified 5th. That was where our pace was. So if we were put into the duels, then that was a bit of luck. But 5th was where our pace was.
And finally, this is a huge weekend for the championship standings. You're right in amongst it. Now the fact that Pascal Wehrlein isn't in duels as well, how do you sort of approach the race?
Honestly, I haven't seen the order. I don't know where people are, but there's still 8 races. There's still quite a long time, and each one's important. So we'll see how we go.
Race well today, mate. Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Cheers, Nick. Thank you.
We've got the onboard here from Sergei Sete Camera, I should say. So this is the repeater line, which is sort of there. And as you can see, the light is red. Now, actually, what he should have done is move forward to this next set of lights. So at this stage, as Jack was explaining in commentary, that light, when it went green there, that's when he should have gone. He didn't, because he was parked at the wrong spot. And then when they get here, the light is red. So you can see quite clearly the light there up on the side is red. And as you can see, when he moves forward, there, he's gone past it. So the drivers are all explained. These are the regulations. They're given drawings from the race director. They get to a driver's briefing. So it's all explained. Unfortunately, he got the procedure wrong, and we'll see what the stewards have to say on it.
Yeah, fascinating. You could even see Sergio Sete Camera's hand there, couldn't you? Being like, what? Why have they turned the red light on? So that is under investigation. Right, semi-final 1 there will be a Nissan on the front row of the grid for the Monaco E-Prix. Will it be Nato or Fenestraz? You guys think it is going to be Fenestraz. But Norman Nato getting ready to head out. Fenestraz lining up in the pit lane. We'll head back out onto the circuit. Jake Hughes will be in the second semi-final. Who will he be up against? TBD. The first semi-final about to get underway in Monaco. On the left-hand side there, you see Sasha Fenestraz. It will be him versus his Nissan teammate, Norman Nato. A fun little duo, those two, actually. Quite chummy, both French, or ish, half Argentinian for Fenestraz. Nato getting ready to go. As I mentioned, he's got a Jules Bianchi tribute helmet on today, and he actually races number 17 as a tribute to Bianchi as well. That's the reason he picked that number when he joined Formula E, because of his friend Jules Bianchi, who passed away after an accident at the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix. And Bianchi was French from this south part of the world, south of France part of the world, and had one of his best results actually at the Monaco Grand Prix, scoring points for the Marussia team as it was then. So also the 90th anniversary of Nissan this year too, in their lovely cherry blossom adorned car. There was once a NASCAR driver sponsored by a florist, and that is the only evidence that I've ever found of flowers on a racing car. So I like it.
How much research have you done, Jack?
Actually, my friend did that research for me. I didn't do that myself, because I didn't really know where to start. What am I just going to Google flower racing car? I don't know.
Fair place to start, I would say.
Yeah, true. But yeah, apparently that a NASCAR driver sponsored by a florist is all there is.
Again, everybody, this is Race Control, just on a little bit of a hold here, trying to the stewards to make a final decision on this issue from the previous duel. Again, I'll give you a heads up. Just stand by. I'll try to give you a minute, just as a note.
So that's Scott Elkins. Well, that looks as though maybe they've got the decision from the stewards on that, because Scott Elkins is in charge of, enforcing the rules, as it were, but he's or kind of not enforcing the rules. He's got to kind of keep everything going but he's not actually the man making the decisions about what is right and what is wrong. Have I explained that beautifully, Dario?
Well done, Jack. Well done. Couldn't have done it better myself. That's not saying much. Yeah, I mean, race director. He runs the race. So, yeah. Scott Elkins controls everything that's going on track. The stewards will ultimately make the decision, and then Scott will have to communicate that to the driver or the team, and then the team will communicate to the driver.
There is Scott Elkins.
He's having a discussion with someone on his panel there.
Yeah.
I've got a panel like that here, Jack, which is the one that you use to distract
the drivers. Oh, Mitch Evans.
Mitch Evans at Berlin, yeah.
It wasn't my fault in the end. I got absolved of blame from that one. So
who absolved you of blame?
Lots of people. Lots of people did. Lots of people absolved me of blame. Basically, when I spoke to Mitch Evans on the in-lap in Berlin, he then sort of went to the wrong place. But it was fine. It wasn't my fault. So we're waiting for Sede Camera. Sede Camera keeps looking over at the screen as well. So Maserati waiting for the news as well. I presume Gunter's still sitting in his car waiting to know whether because if Sede Camera gets his lap times cancelled, which he just has, Sergio Sede Camera, best lap time cancelled for not going when the light was green. So will Gunter be going through instead? That's the question. Or will Jake Hughes be all by himself in that semi-final, which we saw with Jean-Eric Verne in Hyderabad? I presume I would have a very strong presumption that Gunter would go through, because that lap time is cancelled. Therefore, Gunter was the quickest. The problem we ran into in Hyderabad was because the duels got cancelled, and so people hadn't made it through to the duels. So there is Sete Camera. The message has come up. Doesn't appear to have been told yet, the man from Belo Horizonte.
There's not much, what's the word, in the Maserati garage. They're not exactly jumping up and down.
Well, I think that they haven't...
It was on the screen, though.
Yeah, but it says Sete Camera's lap time cancelled, but maybe they haven't had it confirmed that they are going to go through, or whether they just stay there. Oh, and there's Sete Camera. He's just been told on the radio, hasn't he? Shake of the head, and it's so frustrating for Sete Camera, because he must feel like a Wally, to be honest, because he'll be arguing about it. Right, Gunter will be through, so Gunter will be facing Hughes in the next semi-final after this. So Gunter makes it through. That means that grid-wise, 6th on the grid is going to be Dan Ticktum. 7th
okay, everybody
on the grid.
Everybody on pit lane. This is a 1 minute notice. 1 minute notice. In 1 minute, we will allow the cars to enter the pit lane.
So cars will be heading out in a moment. So sorry, 5th on the grid will be Dan Ticktum.
Cars may enter the pit lane now, according to the message. Sorry for that confusion. And sorry for the delay. Thanks, guys.
Ticktum will be 5th on the grid. 6th on the grid will be Mitch Evans. 7th, Eduardo Mortara. 8th, Sergio Sete Camera. So that's the order behind. Ticktum, Evans, Mortara, Sete Camera. And now, here is the previously promised all-Nissan fight for the front row of the grid. Norman Nato has had one front row start before in his Formula E career. I think it's only one for Fenestraz as well, isn't it? Yeah, in Cape Town. So they're both looking for their second front row start of their Formula E careers. Nato had an extra year compared to Fenestraz. It's 25 race starts for Nato, 9 for Fenestraz. Semi-final number 1 coming up. Remember, the predictor votes reckoned Fenestraz.
Fenestraz comes from that sort of that school of Japanese racing, almost the same as Nick Cassidy. Came up through that, did fantastic things in Super Formula, hence the drive here in Formula E. And that pole position in South Africa definitely showed what he's capable of. And you can see there's been a good uptick in pace from the Nissan. Let's see if it continues into the race this afternoon.
I wonder if Fenestraz raced here in Formula Renault 2 Litre in the year he beat Will Palmer to the title in 2017, I think it was, 2018.
I'll take your word for it.
I think Formula Renault was racing here back then. So I don't think it's a debut this weekend in Monaco for Fenestraz. No, he won in Monaco in 2017.
We'll go this way. It's up this end.
I need to take the weight.
Yeah, it's up this way.
So that's Sergio Sete Camera out of the car. Yeah, 2 races in Monaco in 2017. Fenestraz won one, Will Palmer won the other one. Robert Schwartzman also in that field. Fenestraz won the title that year. Dan Ticktum also in that field. Jarno Opmeer in that field as well, who is now a multiple esports champion. Right, enough of that. Here come the Nissans. Nato up the hill. He's the first driver on track. Second is Fenestraz. As he comes into Sandevot. Whoa, he sent that in with some speed, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely less tidy than Norman Nato, but the question is it quicker? Looks half a tenth quicker just now. You see it on the left of your screen too.
Every Monaco E-Prix has been won from the top 4 on the grid. So these drivers that are through to the semi-final duels have got a real shot. Fenestraz is gapping Nato now to just over 1/10 of a second. In qualifying head-to-heads this year, Fenestraz is 5-3 up but it's getting closer. 600s between them as Nato comes into Tabak.
600s, think about what you've just said, it is so close.
Throwing it through the swimming pool. This is nice stuff from Nato. I'm really enjoying watching him drive here. 500s now, the gap between them. It's coming down. Whee! Bit of a slide on the rear, and Fenestraz has gained a bit of time in the middle sector. Nato across the line. Does the 29.2. Fenestraz on the power towards Anthony Noakes. And he's got almost 0.4 of a second here on Norman Nato. Across the line comes Fenestraz. It's a 28.7.
That is rapid.
I think that's the quickest time we've seen in these duels.
It is. Yeah, I believe it is, Jack.
Huge lap. Huge lap for Sasha Fenestraz to book himself a place in the final.
Come on, little man, come on. Going to the final.
Come on, little man, says Johanheim. He's through then, into the final. Next up, it's Max Günther versus Jake Hughes. Predictor vote is saying Hughes has got this one. And to be fair, Günther did get knocked out in the previous round, but he has been on good form so far this weekend. Günther is first on track. Last time Hughes made it through to the duels, he took pole position. Günther has been in the duels once so far this season and lined up second on the grid.
Neat, tidy stuff from Günther coming out of Sandevot, up the hill. I think that's quite, on the predictor, quite punchy to 80-20 to Hughes. That's, yeah. That's a little unfair to Max Günther, but we'll soon find out.
Right, we're doing split screen on this one into Sandevot. Hughes on the right, Günther on the left. We've delayed Günther's video, so they're as matched up as good as we can get it live. Up into Massenet. Hughes has got over 1/10 of a second here. Maserati's last front row start in Monaco was the 1957 Monaco Grand Prix with Juan Manuel Fangio at the wheel of a 250F. Can Günther nab another?
I think McNish finished third in that race.
Down towards Portier. The gap's grown to 1/4 of a second. Very neat and tidy. This from Jake Hughes. He's been a qualifying maestro so far this season. A little off the pace in Berlin, but all of the Nissan powertrain cars were. Looks as though the Birmingham man is getting back to his best. He's now over 0.4 of a second ahead. Into Tabak. Both feathering the throttle through the swimming pool. The gap is almost 1/2 a second. 2 more corners to go.
So disciplined from Jake Hughes when he's coming through Rascasse.
The drive towards the line now. Surely this is Hughes through to face Fenestraz in the final. 1/2 a second clear. 2/10 slower than Fenestraz's time, but still very, very good indeed. And so that means that third on the grid will be Norman Nato. Fourth on the grid will be Max Günther. The front row will be Jake Hughes and Sasha Fenestraz. But in which order?
Not bad, mate, not bad.
A bit of an understatement there from the engineer.
Yeah. Just a little bit. When was McLaren's last front row in Monaco? Maybe... More recently than Maserati's, that's for sure.
Yes.
Ian
They had
James.
some of those wonderful Senna qualifying laps.
Yeah.
McLaren, those were just phenomenal to watch as well.
I reckon. I'm going to go. Well, I reckon Button did it in 2011 or 12 or something, or a Hamilton or something. I don't know. Anyway, the Got one now.
Here in the McLaren team, and
Jake Hughes. I mean, he's been so, and I spoke to him in the week, Jake Hughes, for a podcast, and I said it to his face. Well, it was on a Zoom call, but I said it to his sort of virtual face, that when he was announced he was joining, you know, I was there when he did his first championship win. I commentated on him in his first year of car racing. So I've known the guy a long time. He's very good. He's very good. But coming into FE, come on, you got to be one of the best drivers in the world to come into FE, and he was just looked quite good, you know. And he said the same himself. He said he'd never actually had the equipment or the budget or whatever to properly test himself against the best, so he didn't know either, and has been very pleased with how it's gone. Right, final will be getting underway in about 5 minutes' time. It'll be Jake Hughes versus Sasha Fenestraz, both looking for their second pole position of the season. And what a place to do it in Monaco. So, Hughes and Fenestraz in the final in a few moments' time. But let's go and find out what on earth Nicky Shields is up to this afternoon.
Well, have a guess, Jack. I'm hanging out here with racing drivers. Sergio Sette Camera, though, hugely disappointing session there. I mean, congrats through to the duels, qualifying P8. But from your perspective, I mean, we've watched the replay a couple of times. What was actually going through your mind while sitting in the cockpit?
Well, so I asked my engineer, which light should I stop? And he said the first light. So then I stopped on the first line. As soon as it went green, I went. But when I reached the second light, it was red. And of course, red, you cannot go. So I was like confused as to what happened. I knew there was going to be some talks about qualifying procedure, but I did my lap. I beat Gunther. I beat Gunther, and then I got the news that I was disqualified. I think it's just bad for everyone that the faster driver gets taken out by something like this. I asked my team for the instruction. I followed it as they gave it to me, and now I could be starting in Monaco front row or second row, and instead I'll be starting 8th, which is not what I wanted. So I'm a bit disappointed, and I'm curious to see exactly the reasons why it happened and work to not let it ever happen again.
Absolutely. So do you think it could have been an issue leaving the garage too late?
Yeah, I spoke to one of my team members, Team Principal, actually went to the stewards, and they said it was something to do with when we left the garage. So I'm confused. Anyway, like in general, they should give the penalty after the qualifying session. Let us qualify, let us do our laps. If you're going to penalize the driver after the session. If you don't let him move on, then it's over for him. So it's really frustrating, yeah.
But what can you do from 8th position? Can you claw your way a little bit ahead?
It's always difficult for us with the efficiency, I won't lie. But we got to be smart. Anyway, to be honest, for the race, it doesn't change too much where you're starting, because nobody wants to lead, as we've seen in Berlin. But for a driver, you want to shine in qualifying, you want to be starting up there. That's what hurts most. For the race, I think from 8th or for 4th, you can do more or less the same.
Absolutely. Well, good luck for the race. And obviously, it was still a special moment to see both the Neos in the duel. Thanks very much. Sergio Sette Camera.
Yeah, it really was a treat to see the Neos in the duels there. I mean, they've done exceptionally well so far this season.
Yeah, they have, and it's a shame. I feel bad for Sette. You know, the stewards, they read the rule book black and white, and that's just the way it goes. There's no negotiating there.
But it's so nice hearing a driver fight his corner so well, so articulate.
Yes, and that conversation is going to continue. I do believe that, yeah, the words spoken by Sette were true, and, you know, he should be out there right now.
All right, we've got a big final coming up. It's going to be really exciting. Looking forward
to it.
A couple of rookies. Yeah, a couple of rookies in there. Good point in your waffle shirt. Loving it. It's getting a lot colder here in Monaco. The sun has disappeared. It's quite chilly now. Let's go back to our commentary team, shall we, with Jack and Dario.
So the final getting underway in a few moments' time. The record for the fastest lap in Monaco is a 1:28.773. And that was set by Sasha Fenestraz in that semi-final. So he's got the fastest lap in Monaco in Formula E, and he's got the fastest lap in Formula E history in Cape Town. So he's a quick guy, Sasha Fenestraz. Get your votes in on Formula E Predictor. Who's going to win this final? And also you can then make predictions for the race itself as well. Coming up later on this afternoon at 3 o'clock local time. So 3 hours and 5 minutes until the racing begins on the streets of Monaco. So Sergio Sette Camera missing out And it's so interesting. Dario, it's so tight, isn't it? It's so close between all these different powertrain manufacturers. But Nissan are the most sort of variable, they feel. They're back at the grid in Berlin because they can't do traction. This is where we're at with the ladder. Now it's 2 Nissan powertrains in the final, and it's 3 of the 4 cars got through to the duels. Suddenly they're quick again.
Yeah, it's a huge turnaround. Let's see what their powertrain efficiency brings in the race, but this is a big boost for Nissan. They've really been up against it. They haven't changed any of the hardware, any of the actual physical parts, apparently. It's all just been software upgrades. Shows how important they are. We've seen it multiple times with the old Generation 2 car in Formula E. So important to get the software right.
The final in the battle for pole position for the 2023 Monaco E-Prix. Jake Hughes versus Sacha Fenestraz. And 69% of you thinking it's going to be this man, the French-Argentine Sacha Fenestraz, rather than the British driver Jake Hughes. 3 points up for grabs for pole position. Both have had a pole position already this season. For Hughes, he's 10th in the championship. Fenestraz somehow is down in 19th still. He's only got 1 point finished to his name, which was 8th in Diriyah. And that gave him 4 of those points. The other 3 came from the pole position in Cape Town, but hasn't quite managed to turn it into a strong race performance yet. But now it's all about qualifying. Hughes up at the top of the hill.
If you're Jake Hughes, Jack, you know that you're a couple of tenths shy of the performance of Sacha Fenestraz, so you know you're going to have to find a couple of tenths in this lap. So you'd be thinking, but in the gap between the semi-final and the final, right, where did I leave a little bit on the table? Where can I be a bit neat and tidier? Where have I just got to absolutely monster it and hang on? And all that will be going through his head, and let's see if he can put it all together right now.
Fenestraz being told, have fun and enjoy it. That's the message on the radio. Jake Hughes was complaining about understeer on his semi-final run, but he didn't want to make any changes to the car in case that then induced a different problem. Max Günther is under investigation for a driving infringement, so I wonder if that could maybe be the blocking in qualifying. But when we heard from Nick Cassidy, Cassidy seemed to basically say, nah, he wasn't blocked by Günther in qualifying. So
I think he said he was pushing. He was on a push lap.
Yeah,
so
exactly, so it was fine.
Okay, the lap was 2 seconds off, I think he said, but who knows?
Yeah, but just to let you know, that is under investigation. But now it's the fight for pole. Hughes through the final corner, out across the line. Ooh, wiggly, wiggly.
Yeah, skipping on the throttle.
Down into turn 1 for Jake Hughes. Looking for his second pole. Rookie this season. Oh, he's on a full attack mode straight away through Sandevot. Up Beau Rivage as Fenestraz in the red and white Nissan comes across the line to start his run into the first corner. Much more neat and tidy for Fenestraz, but Hughes was quicker by 400ths through the first turn. On board with Fenestraz in the bottom right.
Yeah, and Hughes had a problem in the hairpin. He got a snap of oversteer as he turned into the station hairpin, and I think that'll have cost him a little bit of time. But we're talking fractions of a second, but 300ths between them at this point.
Hughes is ahead by 400ths, but Fenestraz is coming into the hairpin now. Does he gain a big chunk here? Oh, Hughes too deep. Hughes has thrown it away. It's going to be Fenestraz on pole position for the Monaco E-Prix. He's only 500ths up at the moment, but Hughes' lap time will get deleted anyway, just for track limits. So it will be Sacha Fenestraz who will start on pole.
I was going to say, unless Fenestraz does the same thing.
Well, yeah, very true. But a really, really impressive rookie year this for Fenestraz. He did technically do a race at the end of last season, but as he described it, he's in the race. He was in that race rather than actually competing. Hughes across the line. It'll be second on the grid for Jake Hughes, but it'll be pole position for Sacha Fenestraz through the final turn. 2 poles this year for Fenestraz as he takes the checkered flag and books himself the front of the grid for the Monaco E-Prix. Hugs all around in the Nissan garage. Tommaso Volpe there, the team principal of the Nissan team. Fenestraz did a 29.1 in the end, which is still pretty quick. He didn't exactly back off. We were talking to a driver, I can't remember who it was. I don't know if Monaco's quite as good for it, but one of the drivers was saying that they look up at the big screens on their way around the lap because they can tell from the big screen if they're up or down.
What happened? That's pole position! You did it!
We had, Fenestraz is such good value on the radio as well. Like, there was some iconic stuff in Cape Town on the radio from Fenestraz because he hit the wall at one point. And look, I've said this a million times about him on air before, but friendliest guy I've ever come across as a racing driver. Like, I'll just be sitting somewhere, you know, by myself, and he just comes up and has a chat. Wherever you are, whenever he sees you, he comes and has a chat. This is where it went wrong for Jake Hughes, a classic Monaco bump rear lock.
Yeah, steeply downhill there and bumpy at the same time, Jack. So he just caught Jake Hughes out, just tried to take an extra foot or two on the braking. You see him looking at him, just catching the oversteer. He did a good job to keep the car pointing in a straight line and not take some corners off it.
And that's Ian James's reaction. He did went full Raikkonen there, didn't he? If only Adrian Sutil had been in front of him, it would have been an exact recreation. Fenestraz is good fun on the radio.
This was nice one. Monaco E-Prix, way! E-Prix, way!
That's great stuff. Because this team has been through a lot of kind of rebuilding over the years. They've taken over the EDAMS entry, so it's not Nissan EDAMS anymore. It's just Nissan. They're in control of everything, stepping up their involvement basically in Formula E. And okay, the powertrain hasn't been, you know, absolutely mega, but it's certainly got some one-lap pace in it. Still a front row for McLaren. The pole sitter has won 4 of 5 Monaco E-Prix. But at the same time, something's got to give here. 4 of the last 5 Monaco E-Prix have been won from pole. None of the last 11 Formula E races have been won from pole. So something's got to give. So full speed Fenestraz. Oh, look at that, front right off the ground. Love it. We'll be hearing from him in a couple of moments' time. And a very happy Italian, Tommaso Volpe. And it will be pole position, his second Formula E pole. He's having quite a good pole ratio now. A second pole in a 10th start for Sasha Fenestraz. Not a bad effort at all. 8th place is still his best race finish result. Make sure you join us in 3 hours' time for the Monaco E-Prix. 29 laps of fun around the streets of the Principality. And Karun Chandok threatened us with some weather earlier on today, but it's kind of looking like it's staying all right. Hopefully we have a nice dry race. So Pascal Wehrlein had a difficult time in qualifying. Norman Nato was looking strong right from the start and managed to get through to the duels. Sam Bird didn't. Mitch Evans did for the Jaguar squad. Oh, little clip of the wall there. I think that was Jake Dennis. And that was where the front left hit came for Antonio Felix da Costa in the Nouvelle chicane. Max Günther was fast and made it through to the duels, but he is under investigation for a driving infringement. Sasha Fenestraz looking quick as well. Both Nissans making it through to the dual stages for the first time this season. And they then faced off against each other in the duels. Jake Hughes also made it through into the duels as he looked for his second pole of the year. then there was this moment with Sete Camera and Gunter. Sete Camera leaving the pit lane too late, and that meant Gunter had to leave under a red light. And it ultimately meant that Sete Camera was eliminated from the duels, despite going quicker than Gunter. Fenestraz was on form. Did the fastest lap in Formula E history in the semi-final to book himself a place on the front row. Jake Hughes wasn't able to beat him. Made it through in the semis, but this big error cost him in the final. That was his race run. He and James knew it. Sasha Fenestraz knows it now as he takes his second pole position of his Formula E career. And that's what it means. Oh, Fenestraz is under investigation for a technical infraction. Oh, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, everybody, but Sasha Fenestraz is under investigation for a technical infraction. So, yeah, there you can see it. We'll speak to them in a moment, but that could be.
That's the last thing I wanted.
That was heartbreaking.
Tire pressures, but he doesn't know yet, does he?
I was like, shit, exactly.
He doesn't know yet. But he's making his way now.
Still pole.
Oh, who's going to be telling him?
Still quite cool.
Second this year?
Yeah. And Monaco, baby.
And Monaco.
Who would have thought that?
Oh, I don't think I can watch this. He's so happy.
Hombre.
Chat with Alejandro Agag. Well, this will be the starting grid in theory. The two DS Penske's at the back, Van Dorn and Vernth. Then it will be De Grassi and Da Costa. We've got about 3 E-Prix wins starting in the last 3 positions on the grid. The App Cupras are on the 9th row of the grid. And then it is Sebastian Buemi and Sam Bird, 16th and 15th. Oliver Rowland lines up 14th on the grid in the Mahindra, just behind Rene Rast. Jake Dennis and Pascal Wehrlein, the two championship protagonists, are 11th and 12th. Wehrlein promoted a few spots because of the DS Penske disqualification. Cassidy lines up 10th on the grid behind Andre Lotterer, who has his second best qualifying performance of the season so far. Sete Camera and Eduardo Mortara, 8th and 7th. Mitch Evans lines up 6th on the grid, the furthest forward of the championship contenders. Gunter 4th, Nato 3rd, Jake Hughes 2nd, Sasha Fenestraz on pole position. We think. But, yeah, if it's a technical infraction, it could be the minimum tyre pressures again. Now, he's still got the smile on his face. Fenestraz. So, oh, I can't. I really struggle with situations like this. Oh, well, yeah, we'll see what Fenestraz has to say in a moment. As I say, he's under investigation, but also Gunter is under investigation as well. So the actual grid could end up looking a lot different, to be honest, to the one that we've just shown you. As I say, Sasha Fenestraz, the pole sitter, under investigation for a technical infraction.
Sasha Fenestraz, huge congratulations. Your second pole position of the season. Although I hate to break this to you, maybe you already know, you are under investigation for a technical infraction due to some sort of power release.
Well, we'll see what happens with that, but anyways, we have the pole, so I should be happy with that. But yeah, I don't know, it's a bit disappointing with that, but let's see. Anyway, I think we did a pretty good job. You know, we really didn't expect this after what happened in Berlin and also Sao Paulo, 2 terrible races. So yeah, pretty happy with this. Now let's see, the race is the most important. Hopefully I can be jumping from there this afternoon, we'll see.
That's what we like to hear, and sorry to break that to you right now, but fingers crossed you will hold on to that pole position. The pace that we saw from that lap was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, my engineer came up on the radio saying just finish the lap because Jake did a mistake. And I was like, I don't know if it's a small mistake from him or a big one. So I still pushed a little bit, but yeah, it's his pole so far, so we'll see. Hopefully we can keep it.
Yeah, I think you were half a second up in your semi-final against your teammate as well.
Yeah, I didn't like the idea of racing against my teammate because I wished, the best for the team. But yeah, somehow we managed to do a good job again today.
Brilliant. Well, I'd now like to welcome Yves Robert Charroux to present you with the Julius Baer pole position trophy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Bonne chance. Merci. Merci.
So, Sacha Fenestraz taking pole position at the moment, but technical infraction, he's under investigation. Could be tire pressures. Nikki mentioned something there about energy release or power levels potentially. The celebrations still happened in the Nissan Formula E team. And then he couldn't believe it at the time, could he? And a big hug with Norman Nato. Those two get along so well at the Nissan team. And let's go down to Vernon.
Technical infringements and all kinds of technical issues that the drivers and the teams are having. This is an energy one, it seems, but the temperature has dropped massively. Do you think that's been an issue?
You know, it's potentially, yeah, potentially the tyre's not going to have the radiated heat, and so the temperature won't build up before they head out. I really don't know, but there's been a few mistakes. You know, you saw the mistakes with Seti Camera into pit lane and stuff like that, and that one was, I think, almost self-inflicted by the team. You cannot be making these type of mistakes, especially when you have that type of pace, and you have that opportunity to qualify up front.
It's been really emotional because we're outside the Nissan garage and we're with Tommaso Volpe when he found out what was going on. Thank you, Mike. Is my mic not working, Mike? Is it working now? Here we go. Here we go. There you go. I'm going to do this. Going to feel like a rock star.
You look like a rock star.
Thank you. But the emotion, the energy just drained from his face.
Yeah, you know, you see up and down. You see that. Sport is emotion, isn't it? And the trick is not to get too high when it's going great and not to get too low when it's going badly. But you just saw it all there from the celebration to we told Tommaso there's potentially an issue. And he's headed off to Tommaso Volpe, the team principal of Nissan. He's headed off to find out what's going on.
Yeah, it was crazy. We got two Nissan powertrains, 1 and 2. That was a pretty spectacular final of the duels there with this new update, that they put in that Nissan car. What does that mean, Oliver? Just explain to us what an update could be. You're on.
Hello. Yes, it could be anything from braking stability. It could be some traction control systems as well. These cars are mainly, software limited, so the mechanical setups aren't changing that much, and there's not much you can do to them per the rules.
All right, it's going to be a really good race. Let's hope that this fog, this sea mist that has shrouded us at the moment disappears, because later on it's going to be another Formula E spectacular here at the Principality for the Monaco E-Prix. Make sure you don't miss it. We'll see you, and check local times for details. 3 p.m. local. We'll see you then.
The most famous street circuit on the planet.
It's a special place, it's a special location.
As a driver, we're all very excited, to be racing there. And it's one that everyone wants to win.
Formula E returns to the glitz and glamour of Monaco.
Oh, what a move! Da Costa to the outside and to the lead! This is the one we just won Monaco!
Get ready for Monaco Electric.